All right, let's get right into it. There's a new agent framework from Tencent called Youtu-Agent, and it's making some serious waves. We're going to do a full technical teardown today, and trust me, if you're building with agents, this is something you absolutely need to have on your radar. So let's start with a question that I'm sure every single one of us has wrestled with. How do you get that soda-level agent performance without chaining yourself to those super expensive proprietary APIs? You know the deal. The costs start to spiral, you hit rate limits, it's a real headache. Is there a better way to do this? Well, the answer is yes. And this number right here, this is the proof. 71.47%. That's a pass at one score, meaning it got the right answer on the very first try on the WebWalker QA benchmark. Now get this. This wasn't achieved with GPT-4o or Claude 3. Nope, this was done with a completely open source model. A number like that? Yeah, that should make every single agent developer out there sit up and take notice. And the framework that pulled this off? It's Tencent's Youtu-Agent. I mean, it seems like it was engineered from the ground up for this exact purpose, to prove that you don't need to be tethered to closed-source models to get top-tier SOTA performance. Okay, so here's the game plan for today. We'll kick things off with its core promise, then dive into the design philosophy. After that, we'll unpack its two main agent types, see how it stacks up against the competition, and wrap up with a bigger picture vision. All right, first up, the open-source SOTA promise. And this really gets to the heart of it, challenging what I like to call the proprietary performance tax, that extra costs you pay just for using the big closed models. So what is Youtu-Agent exactly? Well, it's a framework designed to give you, the developer, SOTA capabilities for things like complex data analysis or research, but without that dependency on closed models. The goal here is super practical: lower costs, better reproducibility, and you get full control over your entire stack. It's what we all want, right? And look, these numbers aren't just good. They're legitimately state-of-the-art on some really tough benchmarks. And again, this was all achieved with the open-source DeepSeek v3 model series. This is the hard evidence that you can absolutely compete at the highest level right inside the open-source ecosystem. Okay, that's the what. But how does it actually pull this off? To understand that, we've got to look at the 4 pillars of its design. This is really the philosophy that gives the framework all its power. So it's built on these 4 key ideas. First, minimal design. They're avoiding all that unnecessary complexity and overhead. Second, modularity, which, as you know, is huge. You can easily swap out components. Third, a laser focus on being open source and low cost, so it's optimized for the models we can all access. And finally, automation. They use things like simple YAML configs to make defining and setting up agents way, way easier. Digging into the architecture, it's really clean. It's built on 5 core modules. You've got the agent, which is basically the brain. The toolkit holds all its, well, tools, its capabilities. The environment is the world it operates in. And then there are 2 really critical pieces: a dedicated ContextManager to handle that precious context window, and a benchmark module that's baked right in, which is awesome for proper evaluation. It's just a really logical end-to-end system. Okay, now we get to one of my favorite parts, a really defining feature of this framework. Youtu-Agent is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It gives you 2 totally distinct agent paradigms right out of the box: the SimpleAgent and the OrchestraAgent. Let's start with the SimpleAgent. Honestly, the best way to think about this is as your classic React-style workhorse. It's a single, monolithic agent, kind of like a lone wolf, and it's perfect for those straightforward, linear tasks that you can solve with just a sequence of tool calls. And its workflow is exactly what you'd expect if you've ever worked with a React pattern. It's that continuous loop: reason about what to do next, act by calling a tool, and then observe the result to inform the next step. It's simple, it's effective, and maybe most importantly, it's really easy to debug and trace. But what about the really gnarly, complex problems? Well, for that, you have the OrchestraAgent, and the name is perfect. This is a hierarchical, multi-agent system. Think of it like a conductor leading different sections of an orchestra. It uses a really structured plan and execute strategy that's all about one thing: maximum reliability. The workflow here is very deterministic, which is key for production systems. You have a planner agent that acts as the conductor. It breaks the main goal down into a clear, step-by-step plan. Then you have specialized worker agents, your violin section, your percussion, that execute each of those subtasks one by one. And at the end, a reporter agent gathers up all the results and synthesizes them into one single coherent answer. It's super structured and very predictable. So the trade-off here is pretty clear, right? You've got the SimpleAgent, it's monolithic, it's cyclical, and it's your go-to for linear tasks. Then you have the OrchestraAgent. It's hierarchical, it's sequential, and it's built for those complex problems where you need specialized roles and careful planning. It's all about giving you the right tool for the right job. Okay, so with all that in mind, where does Youtu-Agent actually fit into the bigger agent ecosystem? Let's put it in the ring with some of the other major frameworks that I'm sure you're already using or have looked at. If you compare it to something like LangGraph, you'll see the OrchestraAgent is way more structured. It chooses predictability over the kind of free-form, flexible graphs you can build there. Pit it against AutoGen, and you see it favors a deterministic supervisor instead of that sort of emergent, sometimes chaotic agent chat room. And unlike Crew AI, which has more flexible delegation, Youtu-Agent enforces that rigid, three-stage workflow. You can see the pattern here. In every case, it's making a deliberate choice for control and reliability. Okay, last section. Let's zoom out for a second because Youtu-Agent isn't just some standalone tool they decided to release. It's actually a piece of a much larger strategic vision they have over at Tencent. This framework is what they call a practical expression of a bigger idea, the cognitive kernel vision. What's that? Well, the ultimate goal is to build autonomous systems that are both scalable and controllable. So when you look at Youtu-Agent, you're really getting a sneak peek into the long-term strategy of the Tencent AI lab. And the proof is right there in the code, in the architecture itself. That planner/worker model we talked about in the OrchestraAgent, it's a direct mirror of the main sub-agent design in their other big framework, Cognitive Kernel Pro. This isn't a coincidence. It shows a really consistent, thought-out philosophy that's driving all their work. And you know, the best part is, this isn't just theoretical. You can get your hands on this right now. It's just 3 steps. You git clone the repo, you UV sync to install the dependencies, and by the way, if you haven't used UV, it's insanely fast, and then you just run the command line chat agent. It's super tangible and incredibly easy to get started. So this all leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a field that's often chasing these complex, emergent, sometimes really unpredictable agent behaviors, is this different approach, this highly structured, deterministic, open source first model, is this the actual key to building the kind of reliable, enterprise-grade autonomous systems we all want to build? It's a really compelling vision, and Youtu-Agent stands as a powerful proof of concept that it just might be.